Great to have you with us. So that's the Larry Fink view, that we have this brewing retirement crisis. People aren't saving enough for their retirement, particularly the younger generations. You have a unique view, of course, from your perch. Where do you fall on that argument?
Well, I think I wouldn't call it a crisis, but certainly there's a lot of work that we need to do as an industry. If you look at our business, we have 18.5 million customers, 1.5 trillion in retirement assets on our platform, and people are saving at a rate of about 8%. The challenge has been you've got 22 million small companies, typically companies with 50 employees and less, that don't offer workplace savings plan today. And what we know, Katie, is if you don't have access to workplace savings through payroll deduction, you just don't save. And so that's something that we're really focused on. And frankly, Congress is very focused on. A lot of bipartisan support and legislation through the Secure Act to really encourage small businesses to offer plans.
Well, Ed, it's an interesting sort of chicken and the egg sort of situation when it comes to the bare fact that younger generations aren't saving enough for retirement. Is the appetite to save not there? Are they spending money on other things? The cost of living has gone up really dramatically, or is it that they don't have access to those retirement plans?
Well, that's an interesting question, and certainly inflation has been a factor. We've seen that play out where in some situations people are less able to save because they're covering other expenses. But I will say in a study that we did, and we just looked at people that were making $35,000 a year, if they had access to workplace savings and they were using payroll deduction, 75% of them were saving. For those that made the same amount, that same cohort that didn't have access to workplace savings, less than 5% were saving. And that's why we launched this new digital first product called Retirement Select, where we're really focused on that small micro plan market, because that's where we have the greatest exposure, where we just don't have the plans in place for people to save. And this is a significant opportunity. There's a lot of innovation and good work being done in the industry in this area with the formation of auto IRAs that we've seen enacted in several states, pooled employer plans, and then the micro 401k market. And I will say from Empower's perspective, this is an area of real focus. I do feel at times there's a tendency to dismiss what I believe is arguably one of the most successful public-private partnerships we've seen in this country. There's 115 million Americans in the system. There's 9 trillion saved. We can take this to another level, and we can improve outcomes and expand access. I'm convinced of that.
Well, Ed, I want to get your thoughts on the future of the 401k. There was a really interesting columnist out by Bloomberg opinion columnist Alison Traeger last month. It really made a splash because she said 401ks, they're going to be gone within the decade. And her thinking there was you have scholars on both the right and the left side of the aisle questioning the value. And you also have the federal government. It's increasingly desperate for new sources of revenue. And as such, the tax treatment of 401ks is a likely target. So, I mean, sort of two questions. Do you think that the 401k could be going away? What's the future there? And is there a future where we actually shift to some sort of different structure?
Look, I think there's always improvements you can make. It's not a perfect system, but I don't see it going away. In fact, if you look at this question around tax treatment, it's a tax deferral. It's not lost revenue to the government. And when we survey customers and we ask them, and these are people generally making between $50,000 to $75,000 a year, if you were to take away the tax incentive, the tax treatment of contributions, would it adversely impact or would it impact your willingness to save? And the answer was unequivocally yes. I can tell you in my conversations with policymakers on the Hill, there's strong bipartisan support for the system, but there's also recognition we need to improve it. And that's why companies like Empower are investing in our capabilities. We're going to expand access. We're seeing this now. We have about 30,000 plans that are under 50 employees, and we're continuing to see that grow. And a lot of them are new plans, new formation of plans in the marketplace. And so it's really incumbent upon all of us to continue to work with regulators and legislators to advance the system. And one other comment I would make on this issue is, and I've been pretty outspoken on this, is I think we need some type of a mandate that requires small businesses to offer plans. That's the only way we're going to solve this issue. And Congress has taken a number of steps, including offering tax credits to small businesses to set these plans up. So the incentives are there. It's the right thing to do, and we're going to continue to advocate for that.
And I have a little bit of a curveball for you. I cover ETFs pretty closely, been doing that for 4 years, and the industry has grown by a fantastic amount, in part because it is such a tax-efficient wrapper, but sort of the incumbency advantage that mutual funds have is that that's what's used in 401ks. And the sort of narrative is that, you know, when it comes to ETFs, they just don't really work in the 401k structure, and there's not that really desire to lobby to put them in the 401k structure. So my question to you is, do you think that ETFs will ever get into 401ks?
It's possible, but I agree. I don't think it's a great fit for a lot of the reasons that you cited. And if you look at the evolution of the investment products in 401k plans today, you're seeing an increased prevalence of collective investment trust, insurance separate accounts that have brought the expense ratios and the investment expenses down materially. So when I think about the 80,000 plan sponsors that we have, from the largest corporations in America down to the very small companies, I see very little demand for ETFs.